Dale Earnhardt Jr. had a great 19-season-long career in the NASCAR Cup Series, which saw a lot of ups, saw a lot of downs, saw a lot of ups, and saw a lot of downs. It was a roller coaster ride for Dale Earnhardt Jr., but at the end of the day, he had a career worthy of being one of the top 50 of all time. And while I don't see a lot of haters out there are definitely some haters out there that say, oh, he's not as good as his dad. Well, shit. There is possibly, if you consider Dale Earnhardt the GOAT, there's possibly not a single driver out there not as good as his dad. So let's just chill on that one. I saw a tweet like that today, and I just had to point that out. But anyways, back to the topic at hand. Dale Jr. had a great long career and finished it off very nicely, as you're seeing right now. But it wasn't always smooth sailing for him, as in the middle of his career in 2007, he would leave his father's team, Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, for Hendrick Motorsports. Now, this was not necessarily his own doing. Yes, technically it was, but it was given the fact that Dale Earnhardt was not given ownership of his team, and it went to his stepmother. I'm pretty sure that's the title she has. Probably offensive to call her that. But it was given to his stepmother, Teresa Earnhardt, who would go on to run the company in the ground and hand it on over to Chip Ganassi Racing. But what if Dale Earnhardt got majority? What if he got the majority of the company, didn't leave for Hendrick, and decided to stay with Dale Earnhardt Incorporated? What if a bitch didn't take over Dale Earnhardt Incorporated and was able to live on into the 2010s? What if? From the brain, seeing the beauty through the... What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video, and today we are here with our second what if on the channel, and it is going to be what if Dale Earnhardt never left DEI or Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. What if he got ownership of the team instead of Teresa Earnhardt? And that is what we're going to be going over today. If you guys enjoy, be sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below what ifs do you guys want to see us do. Also, make sure to comment down below what you guys thought about our what if. I'm sure we don't have the same opinion, but I think we did a pretty good job here with the what if. But be sure to let me know if you guys disagree. I'd say Dale Earnhardt Jr. staying at DEI is not necessarily the biggest storyline going through this. So be ready for some interesting twists and turns, as it will be. There will be a couple, I would say, that you guys don't see coming, and hopefully you guys do enjoy that. A couple of disclaimers: this is not exactly how it will, play out. Obviously, it would have happened differently. If this actually happened in real life, it would have played out differently. But this is our rendition of how it would have gone, and I'm sure you guys have different ones. And let us know where were we wrong? Where do you believe where do you think we could have gone a different route? Let us know. And we'll take that into consideration. And yeah, I think that's really all. Also, the clips that I use, they are from a different creator. I'm not sure if he's still around, and I can't think of his name at the moment, but I linked all of the videos that I use for like the 2008. There we go. That's the first season I use. I use a video of like all the wins that season. I put his link, or not his link, but that video link and all the links to all the years are down below in the description. So if you guys want to go check out those wins, see where the clips are from, they are down below in the description, and go check those out. That is where I got the clips from, and I think that's it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the 2007 and 2008 off season. Also, you'll notice that some of these videos are not the same season. Like the races are not from the same season that they're on. For some reason, it's not lining up. I can't figure it out. Quite frankly, I'm kind of exhausted. I've been working on this for a couple hours, and I don't feel like going back and redoing it. Hopefully, it's not too much of an eyesore for you guys, but they are off. I apologize for that. Alright, so Brad Keselowski signs with DEI Xfinity. If you're wondering why, the reason how he came up was with Hendrick, and I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. was a big part in that. So I feel like instead of going to Hendrick, Brad Keselowski will go into the DEI program and work his way up through there. Because Dale Earnhardt Jr. will not be taking the 88, Kyle Busch stays in the 5, and Casey Mears will stay in the 25. Brian Vickers also leaves Red Bull Racing to drive the 18 in replacement of Kyle Busch. And Yates, I don't know if you care or not, but Yates keeps the number 88. Starting with DEI, nothing really special comes out of 2008 for DEI, as Dale Jr. would earn 1 win, 10 top 5s, 15 top 10s, nothing bad, but nothing special. And Martin Truex Jr., piloting the number 1, gets 0 wins, but he gets 8 top 5s and 14 top 10s. Moving over to Hendrick Motorsports, Kyle Busch still has a breakout year, because yes, he did move to JGR, but I feel like Hendrick Motorsports, I mean, obviously we know Kyle Busch is talented. I don't think moving to Joe Gibbs, or not moving to Joe Gibbs, will, stop that from happening, because Hendrick is still, actually at this point, is probably viewed as better than Joe Gibbs Racing. So he has a breakout year with 8 wins, 20 top 5s, 25 top 10s, and Brian Vickers has just a rough season over at JGR. I mean, he doesn't do, I guess, terrible. I mean, we've seen worse people we've seen people do worse in that equipment, but it still was a pretty rough year for Brian Vickers. And then as for the 2008 results, everything stays the same. Everybody finishes in the same spot pretty much, and Jimmy Johnson wins his 3rd in a row. Alright, so now for the 2008-2009 offseason, Brian Vickers loses the 18 ride due to being mediocre, and the top free agent that season, Casey Kane, will move into the number 18. Brian Vickers then moves on to Richard Petty Motorsports to drive the number 43. Mark Martin replaces Casey Mears in the 25 instead of the 5. Brad Keselowski runs a part-time schedule for DEI Cup in the 2009 season, and the DEI Ganassi partnership does not happen because Dale Earnhardt Jr. is able to keep the team afloat. Now on to the 2009 season, where starting with DEI, Dale Jr. and MTJ both see improvement. Like it's not an insane improvement, but they start seeing more consistency. They start seeing more success. They each get a win. MTJ getting a win, and Dale Jr. gets a win, and all in all, just get more top 10s and more top 5s than the year prior. Brad Keselowski also still wrecks Carl Edwards and wins at Talladega in the 01, or was it the 01? I believe it's the 01. Rip Carl. Moving on to Joe Gibbs Racing, Casey Kane is a massive improvement over that of Brian Vickers, and he is able to get 2 wins, 8 top 5s, and 10 top 10s. Now, Kyle had an inconsistent year IRL, so we're going to assume Casey Kane as well has an inconsistent year, and that is why the low top 5s and top 10s, but he's still able to get 2 wins on the season. Over at HMS, Kyle Busch, we're going to contribute that inconsistency kind of to JGR, but also himself. He gets 4 wins, 12 top 5s, and 18 top 10s. Over at RPM, driving the number 9, not the 43, Brian Vickers gets 1 win, 6 top 5s, and 10 top 10s. Moving on to your 2009 results, Dale Jr., MTJ, and Kyle Busch all replaced Greg Biffle, Juan Pablo Montoya, and Brian Vickers in the chase, and Jimmy Johnson still wins the championship, winning his 4th in a row. Now, because of DEI being a respectable team and the relationship between MTJ and Dale Jr., Martin Truex Jr. will stay with DEI and continue piloting the number 1. Brad Keselowski will also get promoted full-time for DEI, taking over the number 15. Jamie Mack will now move to the 12 to replace the void filled by Brad Keselowski, and Casey Mears will drive the 40, filling Jamie Mack's void. Reagan Smith will also replace what would have been Martin Truex Jr. this season and pilot the 56 for Michael Waltrip Racing. And it is now time to switch to the next decade, and we are now in 2010, starting with DEI, who did not exist at this point, but still does. MTJ earns another win, has a solid season, a little bit improved on the previous season, but still a great season. And same with Dale Jr. Gets a win and improves on last season. But Brad Keselowski, can we talk about this? I'm sure there's been a bad seasons made on this, but I was never aware of this. He only had 2 top 10s in his rookie season over at Penske Racing, driving the number 12. And that was a Penske Racing car. He only got 2 top 10s. If I was Penske, I would have fired him right then and there. He obviously made the smart decision and gave him another season. But we're going to go ahead and assume he has that same season because there's no real explanation as to why he had such a bad season. I'm sure there is one, but we couldn't quite find it. So we're assuming Brad Keselowski in the 15 for DEI still just gets 2 top 10s. Over at JGR, Casey Kane gets 2 wins, 9 top 5s, and 16 top 10s. Solid season for him. Over at HMS, Kyle Busch, still piloting the 5. He gets 3 wins, 12 top 5s, and 21 top 10s. RPM, Brian Vickers experiences blood clots and is replaced by Eric Almirola. And that will become big when we look at our 2010-2011 offseason. Over at Penske, though, Jamie McMurray in the 12 gets 1 win, 3 top 5s, and 8 top 10s. We do think maybe some of it was Penske, so we did give him kind of a mess season. But don't worry, Jamie McMurray fans, his time is coming. Moving on to Chip Ganassi Racing, Casey Mears still is untalented and only gets 4 top 5s and 8 top 10s. Over at Michael Waltrip Racing, though, Regan Smith wasn't as good as MTJ was in this season, but still was solid and was good enough to warrant keeping the ride, at least for now. And looking at our 2010 results, the chase plays out the same, and Jimmy Johnson wins his 5th championship in a row. Don't worry, guys, the results are going to start getting crazy starting in 2011. After impressing in his Cup Series debut, Eric Almirola gets a full-time Cup ride with Red Bull Racing. Brian Vickers is cut due to concerns on his health by Marcus Ambrose, and he still goes to the 40 over at Chip Ganassi Racing. Remember, they never got the one from DEI, therefore they kept the 40 as their kind of one team. And then Casey Mears ends up back at the 13 after getting kicked out by Vickers. And now we arrive to the 2011 season where the history starts to get changed a little bit. Starting with DEI, they all around have an improved season on the year prior, and MTJ gets 2 wins, Dale gets 2 wins as well, and Brad Keselowski breaks out for 3 wins. Moving on over to JGR, Casey Kane has a great season with 3 wins, 12 top 5s, and 18 top 10s. Kyle Busch has 4 wins, and also does not get suspended over at HMS because of Hendrick, not allowing to run as many lower series races. He doesn't get in a suspension with Ron Hornaday Jr. Over at Red Bull, Eric Almirola, driving the number 4, has an impressive season highlighted by a win at Phoenix, which may open the door to future opportunities. And then, actually not finally, but next up is Jamie McMurray, driving the Blue Deuce and partnered with Paul Wolf, goes off for 4 wins, 13 top 5s, and 19 top 10s. The only reason we gave him a better season than Keselowski did is because McMurray had more experience. Keselowski was in his 2nd season, but we still think Keselowski is the better driver. We just gave Jamie the nod because of having more experience here. Over at CGR, Vickers is better than Casey Mears, and it's just mediocre by any standards, but because of him being better than Casey Mears, it gave him a little more of an advantage. And then over at MWR, Smith does not win at Darlington like he did with Furniture Row, and just has a mediocre season with the team. And this is where it all goes crazy, because we are at the 2011 results. Jamie McMurray and MTJ, they kick out Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski. And due to Carl Edwards winning at Darlington, so Regan Smith and Carl Edwards battled it out for Darlington. Regan Smith won that. Without Regan Smith in front of him, Carl Edwards wins the race, and he gets 3 extra points at the beginning of the chase, which then vaults him at the end of the chase in front of Tony Stewart, your 2011 champion, and gives Carl Edwards his first ever 2011 championship. And yes, I understand that sounds insanely biased, but that's just how it worked out. We took away his win at Darlington because he wasn't running for Furniture Row. I feel like that was maybe Furniture Row just got a random great car, and it was just a perfect amount of perfect for him to win that race. He doesn't get that at Michael Waltrip Racing, and Carl Edwards ends up winning the race, which then gives him 3 extra points. I'm just re-saying this. This is not, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there was a little bit of bias that allowed me to think of it, but I originally did not give Regan Smith the win, and then I realized that means Carl won it, and then I realized that gives him 3 extra points, which then wins him the 2011 championship. Call me biased or whatever. That's the way I see it going down, and Carl Edwards holds off Tony Stewart, winning his first ever championship. And to start off the 2011-2012 offseason, David Reagan returns to Furniture Row. If you guys don't get that reference, that is from the first What If. Be sure to go check that out. But he returns to Furniture Row. In this What If, Danica Patrick signs full-time Xfinity with DEI. And Clint Bowyer signs with Hendrick Motorsports. Since Casey Kane is locked up over in the 18, Clint Bowyer is the next best free agent, and he signs with Hendrick Motorsports, taking the number 25 Chevrolet. Eric Almirola, with Red Bull Racing shutting down, Eric Almirola signs with Michael Waltrip Racing to drive the number 00 because they don't have Clint Bowyer anymore, and the 15 is over at DEI. Trevor Bayne goes to RPM, and Ricky Stenhouse takes Trevor Bayne's part-time schedule over at the Wood Brothers. I have a feeling a lot of you are going to like this season. You might not like the footage. Sorry, it's just really the only footage I can find from 2012. But I think you guys will really like the result here in 2012 as we look at DEI, who had just keeps on improving year in and year out. The equipment just keeps on getting better and better as they just continue to improve and improve. MTJ, Dale, MTJ actually gets 2 wins. Dale and Brad both get 3 wins. Moving on to Hendrick Motorsports, Kyle Busch, just like in IRL, has a tough year, only earning 1 win. And Clint Bowyer, just like in real life, goes off for 5 wins, 16 top 5s, and 26 top 10s. Those aren't the exact stats. He does better because he's had has better equipment, but he still goes off like he did in real life. Over at JGR, Kane goes winless in 2012. And over at Penske, Jamie and Paul Wolf, the partnership's going well. And just like in real life, the 2 team does well with 4 wins, 10 top 5s, 17 top 10s. Not quite as consistent as Kozlowski, but still got those 4 wins. And then AJ Allmendinger still fails his drug test, driving the number 22, and is replaced by Sam Hornish Jr. Over at Chip Ganassi Racing, Vickers does better than the year prior. Doesn't get a win, but still does solid. Is mediocre at best, and still looks better than Casey Mears, though. And that'll really help him in his ride because they're just so appalled by how bad Casey Mears did that really anybody could have gone in there and looked better. Looking at MWR, Almirola in his sophomore season and first year with Michael Waltrip Racing gets 1 win, 8 top 5s, and 21 top 10s. And Smith just does what you expect from him. Over at RPM, though, Bayne is mediocre. Who would have thought? Finally, to our 2012 results. This is the part you guys are really going to like. You maybe already figured it out. But first of all, Jamie McMurray and Eric Almirola kick out Jeff Gordon and Casey Kane. And with Hendrick equipment, combined with the fact that Kozlowski was not as good over there at DEI as he was over at Penske, Clint Bowyer wins the 2012 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Championship. You heard me right. Clint Bowyer is a NASCAR champion in 2012. Well, I got you guys so excited with that last one. There isn't much to talk of in this offseason as Danica Patrick stays another year in Xfinity Series, and AJ Allmendinger goes to Wood Brothers Racing to take a part-time job. So not much happening here. Just figured I'd let you guys sink in, and we're going to go ahead and have a moment of silence for Clint Bowyer winning a damn championship. Just let that sink in. Alright, we are now in the Gen 6 era here in 2013, starting with DEI. MTJ in the 1 car gets 3 wins and has a solid season. Dale goes winless but is consistent and makes the chase. Brad Keselowski had a down year in real life, but because DEI doesn't switch manufacturers like Penske did, he still has a good year with 2 wins. And then nationwide, after staying another year in the Nationwide Series, after staying another year, Danica Patrick wins her first career Nationwide Series race. And then over at JGR, Casey Kane gets 4 wins, 13 top 5s, and 17 top 10s. Over at Hendrick, Kyle Busch breaks out for 5 wins, 17 top 10s, and 17 top 5s and 23 top 10s. Clint Bowyer, not as good as 2012. I think that was just a really great season for him all in all, but still in the chase with 3 wins. Penske, Jay McMurray goes winless in 2013 and misses the chase. Brian Vickers does slightly better in 2012, but misses the last 5 races and is replaced by Kyle Larson due to blood clots. Over at Michael Waltrip Racing, Smith actually has a really good season, wins a race and has a solid season considering how he's been in previous years. Almirola has a season like last year and gets another win along with 10 top 5s and 22 top 10s. Over at Wood Brothers Racing, the 21 of AJ Allmendinger shows that the 21 is actually good and makes Bain look trash. And over at RPM in the 43, Trevor Bain as well, still trash. Moving on, 2013 brought a very interesting thing that happened. Let's just say that. And that is Spingate. Now, it was very clear that it didn't happen because MTJ, Clint Bowyer, are not at MWR anymore. There's no need to spin. So Gordon doesn't get in for no reason, and the field stays at 12. But the argument that was made, I can't even describe how this hour-long argument on Spingate happened between me and Chinnery. It just blew our minds, and we couldn't figure out how to do the points and stuff like that. And we started arguing at each other about stuff about Spingate. I thought I remembered it one way, he remembered it the other way, and it was just kind of crazy. But we finally figured it out, and to summarize it, Almirola and Keselowski make it, and Jimmy Johnson wins his 6th championship. That's the best way I could sum it up. I couldn't tell you who was taken out and all of that. We just know Almirola, Keselowski, and MTJ all make it to the championship, and that is the best way, or not the championship, the playoffs, or the postseason, damn it. And Jimmy Johnson wins his 6th championship. So in the final off-season of this video, don't worry, there will be a part 2, but in the final off-season of this video, we have some interesting moves here as Allmendinger will join MWR to drive the number 55. Michael McDowell goes to Furniture Row. Danica Patrick will go to the 47 because she came up in the DEI program and just doesn't go over to Haas. David Reagan replaces Bain at Richard Petty Motorsports, and you get to choose. This is a fun game. You get to choose who drives the number 21. Also, you get to choose who drives 95. It can be anybody from history. It can be Quinn Huff. It can be Dale Earnhardt. It can be Richard Petty. They go in there and drive the 21 and 95. Just let me know who you guys put in there, I guess. And then, if you guys care, the 10 car at Stewart Haas Racing is still vacant. And now to our final season of the video, the 2014 season, and starting with DEI, a rough year for MTJ. It was just a rough year all around, personal and in the racing world, as he's only able to get 10 top 10s on the season and 8 top 5s. Dale Jr. has a resurgent year just like he did in real life. Steve Letarte says hello and gets 4 wins, 12 top 5s, and 20 top 10s. Brad Keselowski has the same year as IRL with 6 wins, 17 top 5s, and 20 top 10s. Over at JGR, Kane has a rough season of just 1 win. It's not terrible, just a rough season. Over at Hendrick Motorsports, KFB still struggles like IRL and gets just 1 win. Clint Bowyer in the 25 gets 3 wins, though. Over at Penske, Jamie Mack earns two wins with his crew chief Paul Wolf. Chip Ganassi Racing, Brian Vickers has a mirror image of his 2013 season, and this, like, not his 2013 in IRL, but his 2013 in this What If. Michael Waltrip Racing, Regan Smith goes winless and goes back to being mediocre. Eric Almirola gets 2 wins with impressive consistency. As you remember, MWR is not on the downtrend, but the uptrend because they still have all of their sponsors. Moving on down, AJ Allmendinger in the 55 still wins at the Glen and looks better than he did in the 47 and the 22. Over at RPM, David Reagan brings consistent results to a struggling team, and over at JTG, Danica Patrick doesn't get a single top 15 the entire season. Finally, Furniture Row, Michael McDowell has about the same year as Truex, because I feel like Michael McDowell at his peak would probably be about the same as Truex would in that scenario. So has about a similar year. And then finally at Front Row, I know I already said that, but I kind of forgot I did this one. Trevor Bayne, you guessed it, is still trash. So moving on to our results, this is the first year of the new playoff system, and there are 16 different winners, which kick out Ryan Newman, Matt Kenseth, and Greg Biffle, who are kicked out in favor of Boyer and Jr. adding the 8. And someone else, sorry, there is somebody else, but I guess we didn't write it down, but there is a third one that I can't think of at the moment. Anyways, Allmendinger and Boyer both make it to the round of 12, replacing Newman and Kenseth, who would have been in there. Both Clint Boyer and Dale Jr. make it to the round of 8 in replacement of Matt Kenseth and Ryan Newman again. Dale Jr. is able to make it to the Final 4 because he won at Martinsville in real life. He doesn't blow a tire at Kansas, a race where, he was bad fast. He wins that race and is able to make it to the Final 4. But good old Kevin Harvick still wins his first ever championship, and he does go to the 4, contrary to our last What If, and that will do it. So I hope you guys did enjoy this What If. If you did, be sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below your guys' thoughts. Also make sure to comment down below what if you guys want to see us do next. Part 2, we aren't necessarily done with Part 2 yet. We're not done with the last couple of seasons. We'll get that done ASAP. But, so be sure to stay tuned for that and let us know what if you want to see us do next. And that is all I got for today, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Yeah, stop wasting my time trying to get mine, get out the way, move, trying to get paid.